So we're going to take a look at that 2000 Ford Focus with a 2.0 liter single overhead cam. It was just brought over running really badly, dying, stuttering, stumbling, come to a stop at idle, dies. We're going to see what's going on with it, see if we can figure it out. Hopefully it won't be too bad. 2000 Ford Focus, P0302. Number 2 Misfire. It's stumbling, not all the time, but it is stumbling. Now that is hot. So we're just going to pull number 2 wire here. I'm going to put a spark plug tester in here, see if we have spark. Let's start with that. Start with the easy stuff. Okay. Ow, man, that is hot. Whew, it's cooking. Hard to see, but I do have spark. I definitely have spark here.
It's a little glow there.
That looks good. Let me do another cylinder and see if it looks weak there or not.
You know, some of these cars make such annoying noises.
Yeah, one shook it.
You know the Avalon?
Yeah.
Oh my God! If you don't put your seatbelt on.
Oh yeah, beeps at you. My Suburban does the same thing.
The hell out of you.
All right, so got spark on this one.
Yeah.
I just want to look at another one and see what another one looks like, just to see if it looks any different. Come on. Make sure I get that back in there. There we go. Just pull another one here. It's not. I don't have a misfire on. Oh, I just pulled. Look at that. I hate that. Just pulled the spark plug wire apart.
Oh.
So now I get to fix it. I spark tested the third cylinder as well. It looks about the same spark. After it broke the wire on me, I had to fix that. I'm just going to pull this plug. Oh, it's tight. Man, is that tight. Take a look at the plug wire and compare it to one of the other ones and see if it looks any different, see if we see anything there. We have a fuel issue, maybe. So it looks about the same. I'm looking at them, just comparing them. They look pretty much the same. They don't look bad. I don't see anything there. It does not seem to me to be a dead misfire either. Could be, but I don't think so. So I'll just put these back in. I'm going to go with the injector next. And we'll take a look and make sure, see if I can hear it firing. These have been out before. They definitely have been out before. They're all wired. They're all cable tied,
Oh, really?
which is common because these connectors break all the time. So now I know I have spark. I've looked at spark from the number 3 cylinder, which does not have a misfire. Number 2 cylinder, which does. I'm going to go look at this injector next and just listen to it first to see if I can hear it fire. You notice the difference? There it goes. Shaking pretty good. You can do this with a long screwdriver too. I just have these, so I'll do it. But they're all firing. You can hear the pintle. You hear real quick a pintle firing. It means it's being controlled by the computer and it is opening and closing. So we do have, it is being controlled and it is opening and closing. So all 4 injectors are firing. You can hear them. We definitely have spark. It doesn't mean we have fuel or we don't have reduced fuel. I don't know that yet. But what I'm going to do next is look at, I'm going to pull the injector, pull 2 of them. I'm just going to do a static ohm reading across the 2 terminals of these injectors. As we'll just, there's 2 pins. I'm just going to take an ohm reading across them to see if there's any difference in the injector internal. If it's open, I don't think it's open because I don't think it's a dead misfire. I would expect it, and we got Ohm reading of, oh, nothing. Interesting. 0. Am I on the wrong thing? Yeah, helps if I hook my meter up correctly. That's why I had nothing. Didn't have it hooked up right. I still have nothing. Oh, there we go. Didn't have a good connection. 17.2 ohms on number 2. This is just static. This is does not mean the injector's good. Good connection. 16.9. So as far as statically, the injector looks okay. Yeah, 16.9 versus 17. What was it? 17, I think. Hang on.
17.4 or something.
Statically, it looks okay. It doesn't mean it is okay, but you know, that can be a 17. So statically, it looks all right. Started looking at the coil over here. Not the distributor cap. This doesn't have a cap, actually. It's just the coil. I don't know what I was thinking earlier, but you can see in here, it's full of oil, which means that oil can only come from inside. It means the coil's going bad. They're going to replace this coil. I'm almost guaranteeing you that's what's wrong with this, because you shouldn't see oil inside of that connector like that. Shouldn't be any in there. Now, fixing the coil or replacing the coil, fixed 99 and 95%. Occasionally you get a little stumble on the load, which felt to me like that's like indicative of a spark plug wire going bad. When it's under load, it starts to stumble a little bit. Very intermittent, but still there. I didn't drive. I rode in the car, but the person who owns the car drove it, so they said it was 100% better. But I knew there was still something not quite right, and it certainly looks like it's going to be these wires and the plugs. They don't know if it's been changed. The car has 120, 130,000 miles on it. These are not factory, so they have been changed at some point, but just looking at them, they're burned up pretty good. So hopefully that'll fix the problem. So here you can see the wire. I've just kind of split it in half. Well, here's the conductor, and you can see it stops about a ½ an inch before the end, and you can see all the black and carbon, how it's all burned up. So this is actually completely shot, and it was I'm sure it was the spark was jumping that gap, so when it got under load, that was the stumble. Now the coil was bad and it was much worse, but replacing the coil got most of it, but that's going to cause that intermittent stumble we're seeing under load. I don't know what the other wires look like. I might just do the same with the other ones, but this one was definitely bad, which leads me to believe it's very possible the other ones are bad as well. I just peeled this out of the actual boot where it broke, and that's how much was left up to the connector. And inside of this is nothing but carbon, all burned up. There's no wire left in there, basically. It was jumping that, plus another about ½ inch. So that is completely destroyed inside. So that's where your misfire, not even a misfire, the misfire is gone, but that's where the stumble was coming from. The misfire code, when I replaced the coil, did not come back. So that's just jumping probably close to an inch with no real wire in there, just burned up carbon from what was originally a wire. Pretty interesting. So I'm going to take the spark plugs out here. Obviously the wires already took off. There's your part number, auto light. These are 5/8, by the way. That spark plug wrench is 5/8. Alright, here's the plug wires. And there's your part number. Dielectric grease for the ends of the wires. Always good to put some on there. your wire number or cylinder numbers on the coil. Says 2431. Of course, it starts at the front, and 1234 starts at the front. So just take the longest one. That's going to be number 1. It's farthest away. Put a little bit of grease on either end of it. A little dielectric grease on either end. Don't need a lot, but you do need to get it on there. Okay, tree here. Long wire here, man. Very long wire. 1, 3. We're just going to clean up. We're going to take it for a test drive. Make sure everything's okay. As I said before, replacing this coil, had oil coming out of the connector here. It was going bad. Fixed 95% of the stumble, but occasionally got a stumble, and I showed how that one wire was just bad. There's hardly anything left of about an inch of it. And when I pulled this number 3 cylinder, when I originally looked at the coil, this was awful brittle because it pulled apart, and when I was trying to fix it and reattach the end, it kept breaking the core to it. So they were all going bad. This is probably the worst one. But I don't have the Misfire code anymore, which I had. I replaced the coil. I did away with that Misfire code. I don't have Misfire code. We're going to take it for a drive and just make sure it's okay. Maybe hook it back up to the scanner and look at the Misfire data as well. A little bit noisy. Hopefully you can see that. That's my readiness monitors. Top right, Misfire, test completed, no misfires. I was watching for misfires, and it's all the readiness monitors have completed. Everything looks good. I haven't had any stumbling, no misses. Everything looks good, no code. Everything is back to where it should be. Yeah, I'll get rid of that glare for you. It's a little better. Well, unfortunately, I didn't realize I didn't have the camera running when I was pulling the coil off and putting the coil back on, as well as the spark plug wires. I thought I did, but the coil is just 3 bolts that mount a bracket to the engine. The easiest way to do that is pull the top half of the air box that leads to the throttle body off. Kind of get it out of the way. It's just, I think there's 7 or 8 millimeter bolts, 3 of them. Take them off, unbolt the coil, put the new one on, no big deal. Same with spark plugs, real easy. There's your part number for your coil. As I said before, the coil got 95% of the problem. Once I saw oil inside that connector, you shouldn't have any oil in there, and the coil was going bad. And then you can see from what the spark plug wires look like, especially the number 2 wire. You know, I had a good inch to inch and a half that didn't even have a wire in it anymore. It was just burned up, and that spark will jump the gap. But when you start to put it under a load, is when you're gonna get that stumble, and that's what was happening. Pretty easy job, actually. It went pretty well. Car's running really well, no problems. If you have this problem, I hope it helps you out. If you like the video, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.